Door County, Wisconsin is truly at its peak in the fall, and we just got back from a trip there this past weekend. We had such a blast, so I want to share all the things that we ended up doing so that it can help you plan your next trip to Door County. So first we drove up to Renard's Cheese, and we went to the one that has Melt Bistro in it. Apparently there's another Renard's. We drove past it later in our trip, but you want to go to the one with Melt Bistro in it, especially if you're looking for a quick lunch spot. We personally did not eat there, but we've heard that Melt Bistro is amazing. So if you're planning on stopping at Renard's on your way up, this could be a really great spot to grab lunch. We got some cheese curds. They were obviously amazing, and we actually still have some left. I believe those were about $10 for their bag of cheese curds, and like I said, they lasted us the entire weekend. So it was definitely enough cheese curds. They were so worth it, so squeaky, so perfect. And they have a bunch of different kinds of cheeses there. They even had like honeycomb, bath products, alcohol, pasta and pasta sauce, pretty much anything that you could think of for a little market. Then after that, we had planned to go to the Red Barn Corn Maze, and when we looked it up, we found out that it was closed, so we couldn't go, obviously. It was open on Saturday, but it was not open on Friday, so plan accordingly. We did not get to go, so I cannot speak to how that experience is at Red Barn Corn Maze, but we did go to Den, because Den was very, very close to Renard's. So if you want to copy our exact itinerary, all of this is mapped out very strategically so that you're not back and forth all over the county. It kind of makes sense, the order that we went in. So we went to Den. They also had a corn maze. It was literally like 2 or 3 minutes from Renard's. And it was $10 a person for the corn maze, and it did not take us long at all. They had a picture of the corn maze, an aerial shot, and we kind of just cheated. I felt like we looked at the picture and then we kind of like memorized where we had been and where we were going and where we needed to turn. But if we could do it again, we wouldn't do it that way. They had fun little games scattered throughout. It was like a Yooper theme, so it was like the maze was in the shape of ope, and then there were little stops throughout where you could answer questions or you could play a little game, and it would help you decide which way on the trail to go. So we did not play it that way. We kind of cheated. We got out in like 20 minutes. But they have a little play area for kids. They had this swing area with like egg chairs and like big wooden like bench swings. So that was fun. We sat on those for a little while, and we didn't check out the market, but they have a whole market there. You could get drinks to take into the corn maze too, so we really enjoyed going to Den. Then we made our way to Lautenbach, which was my favorite winery that we ended up going to. I just felt like it was very fall and autumnal, and the vibes were just really great. The wine was incredible, it was affordable, and I just felt very relaxed there. So they have pumpkin picking, apple picking, and then they also had this food truck set up. It was called 888 Cheese & Co. And they had gourmet grilled cheese. So we ended up getting a gourmet grilled cheese. We got the Mac Daddy. It was a mac and cheese grilled cheese. $13.50 for this grilled cheese. It was actually pretty large, and Max and I just split it as a snack. That was basically our late lunch. And then the wine flights there were $10 a flight, so we actually just shared a wine flight. Lautenbach's wine was really good. I'm regretting not picking up a couple bottles of wine from Lautenbach's. Each bottle was about $14 to $15, I would say, depending on what you got. So it was pretty affordable for Door County wine. Then we took our grilled cheese to the Egg Harbor Yacht Club, and that was not too far away from Lautenbach. I want to say it was maybe like 8 minutes. We were kind of just looking for a change of scenery, but somewhere still really nice and scenic that we could just sit and eat our grilled cheese. So we just went to the Egg Harbor Yacht Club, and it was down a very steep hill, but we sat right by the water. It was worth it. The way up was a struggle. It was a very, very steep hill, this road that goes down to the yacht club. But it was obviously free to just sit there, and it was very relaxing, just looking out on the water, looking out at the houses that are on the water. And then there were fish jumping, and we walked around and looked at the expensive yachts. After that, we still had a little bit of time to kill. We knew we wanted to go to dinner at a specific spot, but it was not late enough yet, so we ended up going to Stone's Throw Winery, which is just a fan favorite. Everyone I've talked to who's visited Door County loves Stone's Throw. I've been there a couple times, and so we knew it was gonna be good. We didn't really want to do the tasting at that one because we just kind of wanted to sit down and have a glass of wine that we knew we liked for sure. So I personally really like sweet wines, and I love their Moscato and their Angelique, which is an almond sparkling wine. So we ended up just getting an entire bottle of Angelique, which was about, like 2 glasses each for us. And we just sat outside and drank our wine, and then we ordered a bottle of Angelique to go. And when she came up to us for our bill, we could buy 2 bottles of wine and get a third free. So we ended up getting to take home 2 bottles of wine instead of 1. And their bottles are a little bit pricier. Their wine is a little bit pricier than like Lautenbach's or other wineries. So each bottle I think was about $32. I think it runs about like 25 plus for a bottle, but it was worth it. It was a nice little splurge moment. And then we ended up going to Wild Tomato. I believe we went to the one in Fish Creek. There's one in Fish Creek and Sister Bay, I think. And so we went to Wild Tomato to get pizza. That's what they specialize in. And we got the Fun Guy pizza. And their pizza ranges around $20 to $30 depending on the size you get. The price difference between the small and the large is very, very tiny. So we ended up just getting a large. And it was not my favorite pizza I've ever had, I must say. But it was still pretty good. It was like a mushroom, onion, like garlic white sauce kind of pizza. But I felt like it was missing a little something. It needed some garlic aioli in there. So I liked Wild Tomato. I would be open to trying different pizzas. If you've been to Wild Tomato and you have a favorite, please leave it in the comments. Because yeah, their other ones looked amazing too, and the crust was so good. I just didn't know if we maybe got the wrong one. But yes, we went to Wild Tomato, that was good. And then we stayed in Algoma instead of Door County. So Door County's rental prices were astronomical, so we were not about to stay there. Algoma is about 45 minutes south of Door County. So we ended up staying in the little cute town of Algoma, and I wish we got to explore a little bit more because it was such a cute town. They had a bookshop, they had a couple tattoo parlors, they had some boutiques, and there were murals on the side of the buildings. So I wish we had a little more time to explore where we were staying, but we only stayed for 2 nights, and we kept ourselves pretty busy with all of the stuff we had on our itinerary. So I will leave a link to our Airbnb in the description. It was above a little bistro. We ended up not going to the bistro either. It was a little bit noisy during the day just because it's surrounded by businesses and other apartments, but at night it quieted right down. It was a very pleasant stay. We actually had to walk through this kind of creepy alleyway to get there, but it was worth it. It was so worth it. And that was about $430 total for the 2 nights. So a little bit more affordable than Door County. Okay, moving on to Saturday. Saturday morning, we went to Potowatomi State Park. I wanted to see some colorful treetops. I knew that we were gonna go to Cave Point later, but I wanted the trees, the moment for the trees, okay? Unfortunately, of course, they were doing construction on the road that led to the tower lookout, and so we couldn't go to that, but we did go to the overlook, which was so beautiful. It made it all worth it. And then once we had that pass, we could get into any Wisconsin state parks for the rest of the day. So if we wanted to go to like Whitefish Dunes State Park right next to Cave Point, we could have done that too, so that was nice. And then we got Jimmy John's for lunch. We ate it at Cave Point. It was freezing by the water. I wore this big shacket most of the weekend, and I wore leggings that day. And I was sort of comfortable, but I had my hair up and my ears were freezing. So it was bearable, but it was quite cold. So if you're planning to go to Cave Point, just be aware that it's gonna be colder than the rest of the area and plan accordingly. We also walked down a little ways toward Whitefish Dunes and the beach, and that was pretty to see, but we were cold. So then we headed right back, and we took a shortcut on the way back, which was amazing. It was this little trail closer to the road, and it was much warmer than walking by the lake. After Potowatomi and Cave Point and I needed my lookout moment, I was like, we need to go do something else. So we ended up going to Cana Island Lighthouse. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it was amazing because we could go inside the lighthouse. So we paid, I think it was like $12 a person. I want to say it was like $24 total for the two of us. And that got you entry past a certain point, and then you could also go up into the lighthouse and look over the lake and the trees and everything, and it was so worth it. And there's parking right near the lighthouse. There was this tractor that was taking people from the parking lot to the lighthouse, and it was not something we were willing to wait in line for and wait for the tractor to get going. So we ended up just walking over there, and I was like, Max, are you sure it's not gonna be like a really long walk? He's like, it's literally right there. So we turned the corner, and sure enough, it was right there. We basically just had to walk along this line that led to the island, and it was a very, very short walk. So if you go and you're like, should I take the tractor? You probably don't need to. You probably don't need to wait for it. So we did not take the tractor. We went up in the lighthouse. It was amazing. We both felt like it could have been a little more organized with letting people up and down because the stairs are kind of narrow. It basically goes in a spiral staircase all the way to the top. And so it wasn't the most organized, but everything was fine. We were all okay. It wasn't like a timed thing either. You could spend as long as you wanted up there, and then when you were ready, you could come on down. Then, classic, we had a little more time before dinner, so guess what we did? We went to a winery. We went to Lake Fire. I believe that was in Bailey's Harbor, right downtown, and that one was described as a family-friendly winery. So they had games for kids and little activities, and there were a ton of kids running around. Like, I love kids, but I will say if you're looking for a really relaxing winery or relaxing Door County experience, I maybe wouldn't go to Lake Fire. However, their wine was very good. I got a wine flight there. Those were like $12 wine flights, and me and Max each got our own. My wine was definitely better than Max's. They give you these little cards and they tell you like what to expect. Like, it goes driest to sweetest. And so I know myself, I just picked the sweetest ones pretty much every single time. It was good. It had a view of the water. Max actually said that he thought that was his favorite winery, and I personally liked Lautenbach's the best. And then finally, we were recommended Chives in Bailey's Harbor by some friends for dinner, and it was incredible. I got the filet, I believe, and then Max got a ribeye, and they were both incredible. The sides were really good, the drinks were really good. Max got this old fashioned that was on the non-alcoholic list, and then he just added in some bourbon, and I got a glass of Moscato, and it was amazing. It was a really 10 out of 10 experience. The atmosphere was really nice. We went around 4:30, so we got in without a problem, but I would say if you're planning on going closer to like 5 or 6, maybe make a reservation. All right, well, I hope this really helps plan your next trip to Door County, whether you're going in the fall or any other season. It is a great time to visit Door County. It's a nice little weekend getaway for all you Wisconsinites and for even people out of state. It's definitely a must-see, a treasured spot in Wisconsin that everyone loves. So definitely check out Door County sometime. Leave your favorite Door County spots in the comments, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.